Welcome back to the Bear Down segment, part of the Coach Steve Show. We took I looked it up. It was over a month hiatus, almost 2-month hiatus here. But we are back because, well, we wanted to talk about Bears. We haven't talked about Bears for a while. They've made some free agency moves since we last talked. The draft is coming up. Zach, how's it going? I think Bears Twitter had calmed down a lot since the hiring of Ben Johnson. There's not a lot of stuff going on. It really is. It's kind of boring. Part of me is like, where's all the Bears Twitter stuff? It's kind of died down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of this is the off season right now, and I don't think there's as much hype surrounding this draft as like last year's, because it was all Caleb Williams all the time. So, just kind of felt like it was always a discussion on, is like the usual. Caleb seems like the number one option, the guy we're going to pick. Oh, but what if we do this, or what if we trade back and we just don't get him, or what if we do a different quarterback? And this year it's very much more relaxed. The more the hype was around the free agency signings, and just not much going on. I think right now we just want to see who the Bears need to fill in, primarily who they're going to get at 10, what they do at 10. And then from there, it's just getting into the usual strings of mini camps and training camps so we can see if this team is actually legit this year. All the pundits think they are. That's one thing I'll say, is that everyone's bought in on the national scene that Chicago is going to turn the corner this year. But I think right now there's just not much to talk about, because it's like, okay, we've got most of the pieces now, if not all of them. Let's just essentially wait until we can actually hit the field or the turf or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, and I like what Ben Johnson says about he's going to push Caleb hard. Like, he's already, he'll quiz him. He quizzes him on the offense already. He will pop into random meeting rooms and start quizzing people, and he gets after it. And so the whole Detroit Lions player saying that he is a quiet assassin, like he doesn't look like this guy that's going to come in and like hoop and holler and say things. And according to the reports, he's already proven that that's the type of person he is, and expects high demand of the assistant coaches. And listening to the assistant coaches, they all are kind of the same thing of, we are going to have to coach this team almost old school. Like, we have to get after them. We have to push the envelope a little bit, because they've all agreed that in the NFL, you have to win now. Like, you have to be competitive right now. Not saying Super Bowls, not saying that, but they were talking about competitiveness and winning. And so I think we talked about it last time, the staff he has assembled, I think, is going to fit well. And I think he's got a good pieces there with the staff. Then the next part of it now was the players. What are they going to do to build around the defense? What are they going to do to build around Caleb Williams and some of the receivers they already have? And, and the big question mark was going to be, how does Kevin Warren kind of right the wrongs, right? He's made some good free agency moves in his time here, but it just wasn't from a standard of good, of, okay, this is a good move. This is a good move, but it just wasn't the moves I think the Bears needed at the time. We keep saying they needed D-line and O-line. They had some skill guys, but and Swift kind of almost teetered towards backfiring of a signing, because he just did not do what we really needed him to do at running back. Ben Johnson has worked with him before, apparently. They're pushing him really hard. They told him, like, you're getting paid this flat out. You're getting paid this money. We expect this out of you. And so they're pushing him hard. So it was Kevin Warren then going to right the wrongs of, okay, we have to address a lot of our needs. And so we literally talked in February, like at the end of February. And then all of a sudden March just ramped up of them signing different free agents or trading. And I really think they have done a good job, actually, of addressing getting some depth at the D-line and being young. Some of the guys they got some experience at the O-line position as well, which we desperately needed, and some leadership there. And so I don't know what you thought about that. I thought about that, like, okay, there, Kevin Warren and Ben Johnson and company are finally making some moves to try to right the wrongs that have happened with this D line and this O line. And then just recently, they signed a couple players to some deals. So I think that's what we'll go through. So, what'd you think about their free agency moves there?
They addressed honestly everything they needed. I didn't have any real issue with what they grabbed or what value they used to pick up guys in free agency. I know that some of them were kind of these locked in for trades during that time, but the two linemen that in particular that you got for kind of the guard position with Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson. I mean, on paper, it should easily be an upgrade. I know there's some questions about Jackson being, some injury history as we've talked and have seen, but I feel like he is prime to have a really good rebound season. I think kind of prove some people wrong if healthy enough. Thuney's a veteran of all things, all pro, if you name it. Will they give him a contract? That's the next thing I think it's going to be on the docket is what are they going to pay him to extend him because he's on a final year of a deal. So that's really the only thing that's on the mindset for that. But what I did love is the Drew Dahlman pickup. I know that we had talked that Colt Shelton actually has played somewhat reasonably at center after early week issues from the past. But I feel like either way, Dahlman, one of the top centers on the market, one of the top centers in the league, if you have an opportunity and if you have the cap space, which the Bears have for the last 3 years, now especially this year, you might as well go after him. And I think that was a really smart move. You upgrade a position that, again, you need a little more stability. I think more clear leadership in that role.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely one that was a good choice. Honestly, part of what makes it, I think, so much little talk about with the Bears is, people are looking at these signings and, again, its main issues were addressed. And so there's not much excitement besides like hypotheticals on who we pick up at 10 potentially. Because even like on the other side, Grady Jarrett getting picked up. Yes, a bit on the older side for a defensive lineman, but again, he's been one of the best in the biz for years. Any person of that caliber getting added elevates that line instantly. So I will gladly take a veteran and a high profile veteran in Grady Jarrett for a reasonable deal and go with that at any time. So that was a great pickup in my eyes. I love that move. Can't say enough about that one as well. I know there's been a few other kind of a bit smaller deals. Dayo Odeyingbo from Indianapolis. I think that was another one that kind of some people thought was a pretty good value pickup for the defensive end position. They still need to work on, I think, finding more of a true two, but production for him shows that he can at least come in and have a little bit more impact than what we've been putting on the field on that side of the ball. So Dennis Allen clearly has had some say and is getting guys that he needs, and they've been addressing needs specifically in the trenches. So, I mean, you look at this and, they did have, we can talk about this in a little bit, but they just, re-signed, Kyler Gordon. They just extended TJ Edwards. I mean, there's really good free agency period for them. There's just not like they did so much to address so many problems already that, like I said, I go right back to why it's been quiet. It's because you don't have as much tension going into the draft right now. It's kind of weird in the Ryan Poles era to not be like we have like 3 positions to worry about. No, I mean, on paper, like this is like we're looking for depth now, and the main debate is: do you pick an upgrade potentially at tackle, or do you go for the high profile Heisman runner up as your potential pick, or the new one lately, the new favorite story is Tyler Warren has been getting a lot of traction. Like people feel like he could be an option, like a replacement for Cole Kmet, or minimum or maximum they could double up and have 2 good tight ends. So it's a weird vibe, but I mean, I know I took a lot of airtime talking my thing. I want to hear your free agent take, but like they did so well that, it's just, that's why it's quiet. There's not, I mean,
Well,
they had knocked out so many key things.
Well, I think it was big when it happened, like right when the stuff they got signed, because it was very quick. Because free agency opened up, they were able to start signing people and trade. Like if you look at the dates, like literally March 12th, they got Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson on the same day. They signed Grady. Then the next day they get Deo and Drew Delman, and it's just it happened so quick. And I think in those 2 to 3 days, it was a hot topic because there were so many things to address. And I think the shocking factor was, oh, our GM is actually addressing these needs. And it's not like they're signing a Chase Claypool again. Like they have guys that have played and they have guys that are for the offensive line and defensive line and
Mhm.
guys that have shown on film what they're capable of. And so now I think, like you said, then it kind of cooled off there. March was big, then it cools off a little bit. And so now, like we said before, the draft was only going to be as important and as talked about only depending on what the Bears did in free agency. If the Bears didn't make some of these moves, then I think the draft then would become a bigger hot topic for Bears fans. And okay, we really didn't get some of the old linemen we thought. We really didn't get some of the defensive linemen that we need to address. So now the draft becomes a little bit bigger. Well, now, like you said, they just get one O lineman and one D lineman and a receiver here or there. They really were like, there's even O linemen we haven't even talked about. They still are picking up O linemen to add to that depth.
Yeah.
They signed my boy Doug Kramer for one more year.
I
Like he's back.
I should have messaged you when that happened because I think we thought he wasn't gonna come back. And
I really
I'm glad
didn't
they
know.
kept your boy. I'm glad they kept your boy.
Yeah, he works really hard. He's a DuPage County kid, works really hard. Loved him at Illinois. Play some fullback. I know, but I believe if he goes in at fullback again for Ben Johnson, it will work a lot better than it did with previous offensive coordinators that they have had in the past here. But then, like you said, they got some D linemen, they got some O linemen, but they're signing little receivers here and there to 1 year deals, and I think those aren't necessarily wide receivers. I have a feeling you're going to see them returning kicks and returning punts because that was
Mhm.
also an issue. So they're addressing things. They even signed Chase Keenum as a backup quarterback for 1 year. So another thing that they are doing, in my opinion, when you look at some of these, like Miles Boynton was signed and different people, they're also looking at the leadership value, which you alluded to was okay. Some of these guys are 2, 3 year deals, which we alluded to when we talked a few months ago. Was some guys that they have to get in free agency are not going to be 6 year deals and this that they have to be short term because then what do you have to do after that? You have to build for the next like generation that comes after, right? That's
Yep.
how organizations win. That's how the Patriots did what they did. That's how the Packers have done it for so long. That's how the 49ers had done it. They always have to start thinking ahead while trying to win now. So I think what the Bears have done, which we are not used to seeing this because this is not what they do, is let's get some players that can play right now, make us competitive right now, and then let's also get some players that don't have to play every snap, especially at the D line. We don't like right now. They're like, okay, these guys we sign, they don't have to play 50 snaps a game, 70 snaps a game. They could play if there's 70 snaps and they play 35 of them, play half of them, but they bring that leadership value and elevate our other D linemen up with them. That's a plus. That's a win. That's a win-win. So when that player's career is done with the Bears, are the next D linemen ready to go? And so in the draft, they can still the first pick could be a running back, which is fine. I think that would be
Yeah.
awesome. I don't know if he'll be there by the time they pick him, but then they could go get they could still get O linemen and D linemen and linebackers and just say, hey, we've got some guys with us on the team already. You guys are rookies. They're here to elevate you. They're going to be around on their contracts. If we do what we think we can do, they could be here for 2 or 3 years. Then you get them ready. And that's the point of being a GM and even a head coach. Like you're winning now, but you also have to think like, how is this sustainable? What the
Hmm.
Lions have done, over the last couple of years, that's what they did. They're in the draft, then they're starting to build, and then now they got to think about what happens after. And you know, that's kind of what they've done in this free agency. I'm not saying they've made huge splashes. This isn't they got a Randy Moss. This isn't they got this and that. They're just getting hardworking, grinded out type of guys here, and that's what the Bears have always lived off of. They are blue collar. We're going to punch you in the mouth forever. That's what the Bears are, and that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to get some leadership because even the pundits on TV talked about this, and you and I were saying it the whole season. So I don't know why we're not getting paid a lot of money to talk about it. They said it. Where's the leadership? Who's the leader? Like John Gruden said it. He's like, who's the leader of the offense? Who's the leader of the defense? Do they really have one? And then when that happens, everything crumbles, especially if you don't have a leader as a head coach, right? So I think that's what they really address. So I think now there's not as much pressure in the draft. You still want to do well, but now you're not looking, like you said, you don't have to draft, you don't have to have this argument with yourself about, do we take Caleb Williams or do we take this other quarterback? It's, let's just get players that can maybe be plugged in right away, or they can learn and be plugged in later. There's not this huge pressure anymore, this draft. At least I don't feel that. I don't see it. I don't feel it, which is awesome. We're always kind of in that, like, oh, we have to get Justin Fields because of this. And then it was, we got to get Caleb Williams. We got to get this. And then you didn't take this D lineman here that could have made an impact and stuff like that. So I think I'm not saying it's all Kevin Warren. I think a part of it is Ben Johnson kind of bringing in the philosophies he has learned. But it could also be Kevin Warren probably maybe having a come into Jesus moment and saying, I got to fix this. We got to do this. And he is kind of fighting for his job still. So I think, and Kevin Warren is now probably involved and saying like, hey, Ryan Poles, you're fighting for your job. Like and so hopefully this is a turning point for the future of the Bears, that this stuff can kind of happen more often. But yeah, I think they've done pretty well. I think they've had probably one of the best free agencies in the NFL.
Yeah,
I would argue.
No, I think from the standpoint of, we talk about filling a need. That's where I think I would say they knocked it out of the park. Now, again, there are some things I do think they need to, they're going to have to address as the season goes on. Again, we look at like, say, a Jonah Jackson, or in particular like a Joe Thuney. These are contracts you're going to have to execute at some point. What is your extension plan? Because like Thuney, they traded to get him for a 1-year deal. And, the idea is you're likely trading so that you can pay him to be there for several more years, even though he is 32. Linemen, some of the best ones right now we've seen can go all the way up to like late 30s, even early 40s, depending on performance. So he's still got years in the tank. It's the question is, how much are you going to pay him to keep him at guard? Jonah Jackson's more of a risk play, but the upside is we've seen him in Detroit, and when he's healthy in Los Angeles, he's a great pass blocker. So, again, though, what's the extension going to look like? Because these are short-term deals these guys got picked up on when they got traded to come over. The only one that got solidified in terms of like down the road is Drew Dahlman. So, obviously you still got rookie deals for like Wright. Braxton Jones is going to be the question that everyone still has in their mind. Is he the guy you stay with? Or is this the draft pick you're going to have where he'll be the one being replaced or being challenged at that left tackle spot? So, that's what is going to be on the docket there. But like as a free agency, I liked it a lot. I'm looking through a few more of the pickups. I know late in the cycle we got Olamide Zacchaeus, and I like that one for like a receiver 3 option. Yes, he's not going to be a he won't be, I would say, like Allen last year, or Keenan Allen, but he is going to be a very good receiver 3, as we've seen in Washington. Another one I did like as well that went under my radar, I got to bring up Devin Duvernay. We're talking two-time All-Pro return man here coming to Chicago. That solidifies something that, again, another issue last year where early in the season, the Bears tried to give this and make this solved and did not solve it early on. So, it's locking up key positions quickly and effectively. So, again, great free agency. I think I know there's some stuff they got to eventually will have to come to head on the contract front. But if you lock it down, which it looks like, Ryan Poles is pulling out the checkbook more and more as he has become more entrenched as the GM, it's going to happen. Question is when, how much are you paying is the deal. Because remember, something we've talked about in the past, and, I know that they paid Dahlman. He is going to be paid as one of the top centers in the league from this deal.
Mm-hmm.
But up until this year, Ryan Pace has historically, with the Bears in his tenure, been very anti-overpay on linemen. It's why he's been very skittish on attempting to invest in the lineman position, because he wants to do it through the draft, but he hasn't done it efficiently. So now your new plan is you're doing what people want you to do all along, which is, okay, go through the free agent or trade market, but you got to eventually pay these guys. So, how much is he going to break the bank for, especially a Thuney? But then how much do you break the bank, or are you going to do a 1-year risk on Jonah Jackson? If it doesn't pay off, you got a problem again after next year. So,
you said a very good thing I was going to bring up is paying, right? Well, the Bears are historically known for not spending money. They don't do it, right? The first step we saw in them spending money was Ben Johnson, like this year, signing him to a deal that they did reportedly. I know the facts, they keep that kind of hitting, but let's just say it is $13 million a year. They opened.
That would put him at the seventh most or highest paid coach in the NFL right now, like ahead of his former OC or former head coach and Dan Campbell, by the way.
Right, and never being a head coach before too. So you opened up the checkbook, then you're getting these guys in free agency. They are, I think, finally, and like I said, we can't jump the gun because the Bears do this, right? And I've said this before. They hold out that carrot. They shine the diamond off a little bit from the dust, and they give you some hope, and then it gets taken away from you. The rug gets pulled out from underneath of us. But we have to also kind of appreciate what we see in the moment. And so what we see is they have invested in a head coach, opened up the checkbook. Then they opened up the checkbook to finally have a coaching staff that matches the numbers of all these other coaching staffs in the league, to try to keep up. And then it just kind of seems like now finally they want to open up the checkbook to say, maybe we have to spend money to win a little bit. Maybe that's what has to happen, right? And especially in today's NFL, and the Bears have to learn how to keep up. They have to learn how to keep up. And that's why the stadium talks had happened. Like, hey, our stadium is not keeping up with the rest of the league and these teams. And I don't know. I don't know what made them decide to do this. Ryan Poles finally saying, I am doing this for my job. I'm doing this for my livelihood. I don't know if it was Ben Johnson coming in saying, hey, I watched the Detroit Lions go from being terrible, like worse than you guys right now. Like, I was telling myself that too. Like, as bad as the Bears were, they were no offense to the Lions, they weren't as bad as some of those Lions teams. Like, it wasn't like that. Like, we went from that. I watched what happened in Detroit. You look at other teams that decide to spend money and do this and take the risk, right? Like, I know it's a risk when you do this, but what's the old phrase? Scared money don't make money, that type of thing.
Yeah,
so
that is definitely the phrase. Yes.
So, like you said, Ryan Poles and company are known for not overpaying, right? They want to just get them at the minimum, maybe not quite the minimum, but a little bit above minimum, and say, like, we have to be okay with this, right? Like, another phrase that I use in coaching is they're okay just being okay, right? They don't want to do any of that. So I think that's what this shows, right? And like you said, some of the wide receivers, and I said too, those guys are probably going to give Odunze a break for a second, like go take a snap or two. Are you competent in that? Ben Johnson loves to use different personnel groupings, so they want to do this. And I think for special teams, I think they looked at our special teams last year and said there were some glaring holes there. Not saying they were terrible, because obviously Hightower kept his job, so he must have done something right. But you think about you think about some of the fumbles on the punt returns and this and that. And I think Ben Johnson, he loves to have fun. So they're probably going to have something happen on special teams that's going to be fun. Let's get these guys for a 1-year deal, see what they got. And same thing with all the other positions. Like, so let's see what they got, and bringing that. I think Ben Johnson's going to bring that old school, new school mentality. He probably learned the old schoolness from being at the Lions and Dan Campbell, and he also likes the new school ways of how things are going. So I think you're going to see. So I think that's kind of where they're leaning to, and I'm curious to see what the draft would be. Are they going to do the same thing there? Um, which led to them signing Kyle Gordon to an extension, which also showed that they were willing to open up the book for him, and TJ Edwards really signing him, and to longer deals, 2028 and 2027, to give them some extensions. So they're showing like, hey, we need some leaders, especially on the defensive end. Kyle Gordon has shown that he can play. Edwards has shown that he can play. So why not reward him like most teams do? And so they're finally.
Well, and call me crazy, but I feel like this is lessons learned from the beginning of the Matt Eberflus era. Now understand, I will, before someone hits the button goes, well, if you're about to reference Roquan Smith, he was asking for, league breaking money. It's like, yes, but we did let a lot of talent walk out the door in that first year under Ryan Poles. And a lot of it was the cut cap. I get it. But at the same time, I will also say that I think in the recent 2 seasons since Poles has become GM, I think he has gone back on the whole original, just because he was good here, we don't need to sign, we can find our own guy. And now it's like, okay, we probably should retain and reward the talents that we have that we picked up, and that's what I'm seeing here. Gordon, as much as I've had some issue with at times with his coverage, he's a fantastic nickel in terms of like being an all-around get after the ball defender,
and he's a leader.
TJ Edwards, yeah, and TJ Edwards can be going unsaid. Man's been up there in tops and tackles in the league for every year he's been in Chicago. So, there's no doubt about it. These guys deserve that. Jalen Johnson getting rewarded as well. Keep what is good and invest in what you need to invest to fix. And that was the message this offseason right now is like, we have a defense that's been playing up to snuff. Let's get the sides and parts of this that we need that have to be adjusted correctly. And honestly, the only defensive issues are still on the front line. But as we'll talk, I think the drafts where they're going to finally address that. All the mock drafts say they're going to go hard on defensive linemen, especially tackles and edge rushers in the mid rounds in the draft. So it'll definitely get hit up, but right, rewarding the guys that have done well. That's the
right.
thing.
And the Roschon Johnson, I'm glad you brought that up. They're like, oh, he wanted all this money. Look what he did when he left. So I think he still played well for the he went to the Ravens and he was one of the top linebackers.
He's still been one of the best in the league. I mean, that's the thing. He never was bad. It's just that, we watched people when he walked out the door, he wanted this money. He negotiated his own deal. And the fact he didn't have the accolades, and we watched the whole fan base flip on him because he tried to, do what was for him and what he was valued at. So, I know it's not the same thing money-wise, but I mean, when we talk about like, Tremaine Edmonds, who got paid pretty damn close to that amount in several of his years under contract, it kind of makes you wonder, is the thing.
Right. And the biggest thing is, are they learning from those mistakes? Like if we let TJ Edmonds go and we have to live through this again, regardless whether they play to the amount of money they actually think they get. But if they play, Roschon Johnson played pretty dang close to that type of money, right?
I think you're referring to Smith. I like Johnson. Yes. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's been a month off. I understand. It's just
yeah. Wait, is Ben Johnson the head coach of the Bears? I can't remember.
Is your brain that fried? Is the oncoming being a dad really getting to you that hard?
Well, this has been going on for years. I tell my players, like, they'll tell me something, and then the next day I forget. And they're like, how could you forget? I told you. And I was like, guys, I don't even remember driving here this morning. I just get in the car and go. And next thing I know, I'm at work. It's like one of those things. You just kind of put on a podcast, and my mind just, and they're like, oh, that can't be safe. And I was like, well, I didn't get in a wreck, so I must be okay. I must be.
Yeah, it's not like you blacked out or anything. You just, you get into a zone. I'll be honest with you, full anecdote. When I was still living in Indianapolis, I had a few road trips going to Aurora to meet up with friends. I would leave from work, and I work nights then. I still do now, but like I was early on in working nights and kind of learning how to deal with that. The only way I got through those trips, I did 2 of those where I did one Monster and like another soda. And I'm not kidding, Steve. There's at least about an hour and a half stretch of that trip that I vividly cannot remember to this day for that first one. Like straight blacked out. I don't know how I got to like it was like the state line all the way to like I don't even remember where the hell it was. It was like definitely countryside Illinois, like south
Mhm.
of Chicago, kind of
Yeah.
going around the city. And I don't remember how I got to Aurora. Like I just remember parking, going into my buddy's house, and passing out in his living room floor. That is my memory there. So
That's how it is when I go to work sometimes. I will remember leaving. I will remember I have to take, I wouldn't call it a country road, but a road that's not highly populated. And once I get close to the expressway, then from there on, I don't remember. Next thing I know, I am in the town where the school is, and I'm like, oh, and it's because usually I'm listening to a podcast. That's
yeah,
usually what it is. And I'm just, then I get into the school and I vaguely remember switching lanes and doing this and doing that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's every day. But that's every day though.
that's every day. Yeah.
I tell the kids, they have if they tell me something and it's not for that day, like if they tell me something for that day, most likely I remember. If they're like, hey, tomorrow I'm gonna be late to practice because of National Honor Society meeting for like 20 minutes right after school.
Mm-hmm.
Next day I'll go to practice and be like, where's so and so? And they'll come late. I'm like, why were you late? Well, I told you I had national honors, whatever, for 20 minutes. And so I've told them, like, you've got to send me a message to remind me because I am going to forget. And yeah, it's kind of like the thing of like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? And it's in your hand. You're like, that's where I'm getting to right now.
Oh my. Oh my.
I haven't gotten that far yet, I think, but like just to compare it to people, like that's kind of where my mind um is that of and that's why yesterday, I know we're not talking sports right now, ACT testing was this week.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah.
so the kids took it. I was with the sophomores on Tuesday, they took it. And then yesterday I got asked by the dean, can you go to our district office and give the ACT test to these 4 kids? They're not allowed back in school because they got in trouble. And I
Oh.
was like, okay. And luckily, I had 2 of them before, so 2 of them knew who I was. So I had to go to district office and do it again and sit there and do the tests. Now you have 2 there's roles. There's your room supervisor, which gives the test, has to read everything and do all that, make
Okay.
sure it's good to go. Then you have a proctor who just kind of assists, right? Like I was the proctor the first day. So like all my job was make sure that it's all online now too, Zach. Did you not know it's not paper anymore? It's all on computer.
No, wait. So you go on a computer and you gotta be like monitoring screens, or
You
how's
don't
this
monitor
work?
you don't monitor screens, but the scripts are on there. It has a timer on there. It has tasks you have to complete to make sure, and like it's
Mm,
all like legal stuff. Like you have to make sure it's done. So as a proctor, you're easy. You're like checking in the kids as they come in. You make sure they got pencils. I make
mhm.
sure that they are logged in good. That's my job as a proctor. And then you just kind of sit back and let it go. Well, now I'm the supervisor. I have to give the test. So with my mind and how it works, I was in a panic that first beginning of it because I had papers on the desk I was at, making sure I had the checklist, making sure this because I would forget. I would forget. And I did. There was one where you have to click a I forgot 2 tasks. There's a 5-minute warning I didn't click that I did, and it reminds you to walk around the room. It will come up and say, like, make sure you're walking around the room. And I forgot to click it was done. So I quickly texted the assistant principal. I was like, I might have screwed this up. I didn't click these 2 tasks were done. I'm so sorry. And he goes, don't worry, Steve. When you're done with the test and you close the room, it's going to say you did it. And I said, okay, good. Whew. Like I freaked out because I forget everything. I forget everything.
You need a nap soon or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
I'll tell you right now, I was excited to do this podcast. I was supposed to scout a softball game, but it rained and I got to the softball game. It looked like it wasn't going to happen, so I left. I was like, all right, I get to do this podcast. But then I sat in traffic and then I started getting tired. And then I was like, oh God, I need to go to bed. But I want to do this podcast and I'm tired and I got to clean the house still and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, but it's okay. You know, somebody out there has it worse than I do.
Most likely, yeah. And that is probably the case. It is kind of a unique way of, I would say, positive spin on life. You know?
But then sometimes I get to that point where like, oh, my life is terrible. Nobody has it worse. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, Steve, you live in a house, and stuff like that. Like you have a car and you have this. And I'm like, okay. Kids listening, this is what happens when you coach 3 sports for a very long time.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. Oh man.
Especially when you're a therapist to these kids too. That's another.
Well, it's a coaching role, I kind of think, like you're a role model. Like
Well,
at least in a lot of regards, coaches are supposed to be that. At least they can be for a lot of kids.
well, also life has come at me very fast. You and I talked like
Mhm.
life came at me very fast, and me and my wife talked about it. And I was like, think about this. I was coaching 3 sports, bought a house, and then within buying a house, within 3 months, having a child.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Life
And
does
then
come quick like that. Then that's very quick.
life came quick for that. And then I was going through my basketball season at the time, and basketball season's a grind. Then we get into softball season, and now I'm coaching girls instead of boys. So that's a whole different dynamic there. And then all of a sudden, dropped in my lap is the offensive coordinator job. And then I got to get that ready. And then other things get dropped in your lap, and it's just like coming and coming. And you're right. I just need a nap. You know, it's sad when I told somebody today, I was like, I can't wait to sleep in tomorrow. And they're like, oh, you're going to sleep into like 11? I was like, no, like 7. I can't wait to sleep into like 7 or 8 o'clock. It's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be a nice long night. Oh, really? Yes, yes, it will.
I was like, I can't wait to be in bed by like 9:30 and just sleep till like 7 instead of getting up at 4:30, like 4:30 or 5. All right, back to sports. Yep. So the Bears have done well in free agency. I don't know how much time we have. I was going to do something fun. I don't even know how much time we have.
No, I mean, I'm still good on time for sure. I say I definitely, I was gonna say minimum. I wanted to talk about the draft a little farther. I'm curious what you got, what you have. That's like a surprise to me. It sounds like, so I'm ready for that.
Let's do a draft.
We're doing a draft. Whoa.
Let's do a draft.
Okay. We are
So
definitely doing.
See, this is fun. We're having fun.
Ooh. All right. I like this.
All right.
I like this. Okay. I'm in.
All right. We have a trade offer. The New York Giants. Yeah, the New York Giants want our 10th pick and 240th pick. We would get 34, 65, and then their next and 2026 first round pick.
I have to ask: is this a simulated?
It is simulated. It is simulated.
So the computer just sent you that proposal.
Yes, that's the proposal.
Okay.
I don't know. I want to keep the 10th pick.
I mean, I think it verges on how much do you buy that the Giants are going to have like a high end 2026 first round again.
Right. So I say we reject this. We also have another trade.
I don't know.
Here's our second trade offer.
Denver. You get pick 20, 51, and 8. I don't know about that. I think you do that if you aren't wanting, like, how do I put this? I think you trade back if you don't.
Whoops. There we go.
Okay. So I would say you only trade back if you feel like that you're getting the vibe that, like, say, like a running back stock is going to fall.
Well, let's see who was taken.
Oh, this thing's already been going?
I went really fast. I have it on fast.
Okay. So Genti left at 6. Jesus Christ. Well, that changes a lot.
So Cameron Ward was taken by number 1. Travis Hunter was number 2, which that's really high. Why would you do that? Um, Carter, number 3. Offensive tackle from Missouri. Will Johnson. Genty was taken at number 6, so there goes our running back thought. Mason Graham at number 7, Jalen Walker, and Will Campbell. So, according to this, the Bears need offensive tackle, running back, safety, edge, and linebacker. Our next pick isn't until number 39, 41, and 72.
I would go. I now would go back. I'm on the bandwagon to trade back then.
So, which trade back makes more sense? The New York Giants one or the Broncos? Because then we get 20, 51, 85.
I'm gonna go with the Giants.
The Giants one?
I think you get 2 very close together second round picks.
And
Instead
we
of
get
having
39. So if we take the Giants, we get 34, 39, and then 41.
Right. So not only that, but I actually, some more thought. I'm banking that first rounder does turn out to be a high end first rounder.
Okay, so we're going to accept the New York Giants trade offer. So then it just goes. It goes really fast.
Yep.
All right, we have another offer.
Buffalo wants the 34th pick.
They want the 34th pick. They want to give us 56, 62, and then their third round pick.
I don't know about this one. I'll let you decide. I'm not totally sold on that trade.
Then the Jaguars want our 34th pick and give us 36 and 88.
I'm definitely not sold on that trade. That's not much at all gaining there.
I'm going to reject these because we have 34, 39, and 41. We have 3 straight, like really close.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have now, let's see, we're going to have 8 picks in this draft now with the trade because we had 7. We got an additional 1 later rounds from the Giants, and then we have a 2026 first rounder. So, yeah, right. I wouldn't take either one of these. I think stay where you're at. Just get into picks and value at this point.
Okay, so here's a couple offensive tackles that are available. Josh Connerly from Oregon, offensive tackle. Earsery from Minnesota. Mabau from Purdue. Emory Jones from LSU. So a couple really good ones, offensive tackle wise.
What's the DT market looking like? That's the one I'd be looking at this point.
Ooh, Tyleik Williams from Ohio State's there.
Yeah,
Kenneth
I like
Grant.
Kenneth Grant's gotten a lot of coverage as a potential pickup at this stage for the Bears. So,
yeah, one of the most explosive defensive tackles. He's over 330 pounds. He's in a rare category. 6'3", 331 pounds.
That's a big boy.
And they had a good defense. Like, so he has Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, Chicago can use run stuffers so bad. They were so atrocious in the trenches last year.
Well, this guy's 334 pounds from Ohio State.
At that point, though, I think it just comes down to, who has the better, like who showed on tape more, I think more of a knack for rush defense, Again, I know that some have said the data shows Gervin Dexter was good at run defense. I digress from watching the tape last season. So,
So Grant he has room to further refine his pass rush ability, but he is a unique two-faced talent at nose tackle.
Okay, I like that.
Williams from Ohio State says he's nearly impossible to block one-on-one in the passing game.
All right.
He has a motor, but he can convert his speed into power, collapse the pocket. He makes a ton of plays. He lacks length.
Okay.
And he's got to work on his hands, but he's a very versatile. He can play a 1 technique all the way to a 5 technique. So he can play defensive end or nose.
I know this is a pick between schools, but I think the versatility makes me want to go for Williams.
All right.
I read alone too. He's got a good bull rush. So that's a good nose tackle feature right there. You want to have, yeah, I'd say go with Williams if he's available at that. at that point in 34.
All right, so we're going to take Williams from Ohio State. All right, we got it. Buffalo really wants to trade with us.
They
They
really want
want
to move up.
39. They want to give us 56 and
No,
62.
no. Well, that'd be what is that late second round there? So
So now,
you get 2 second rounders or late second,
so,
early.
yeah. So right now we're about to pick number 39. Our next pick would be 41 and then 65, 72. So we got 2 close ones and 2 close ones again.
I don't know. Like I don't like we have to give up a pick to get those picks.
Atlanta wants to give us 46 on their third round. That sounds terrible. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean I don't like that one either. I don't like either of these really. Yeah.
I'm rejecting them.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Kenneth Grant is still there.
I mean, that'd be pretty dope if you could land, and actually we could. What does the running back market look like? Did Henderson already go? That was another one that's come up.
No,
Henderson
he's still
could
there.
Be now. Interesting. And I know that Amari and Hampton's up and he's ranked higher. So you could say, and there's Caleb Johnson there too. Johnson had a lot of upside in college. Big Ten running backs I'm always a fan of. You could go later rounds. I could see like Judkins wasn't too bad. Scadaboo, obviously, but Scadaboo I think is more, I'm curious about him in the NFL.
But we also pick at number 41. We pick at number 41. So if we go running back, we can go right back to D tackle right after that, or look at something else.
Now one thing I do need to look at. Let's look at the safety market and the tackle market then, just to cover our bases.
So safety, Watts for Notre Dame.
Xavier Watts is available. I've seen a lot of mock drafts. I feel like he could be available at this spot, and the Bears would go for him.
He's there, and then the Oregon, like all these tackles are still there.
What's Connerly looking like? I haven't actually read too much on him this year.
He's 311 pounds. He's 6'4". He is very good. His foot speed is good. He has a range as a blocker. He's a more zone-oriented run system, but he also thrived in gap scheme assignments.
Okay.
He's bigger and stronger than most off-the-ball defenders up front. His strength, it says, though his play strength isn't elite yet, he got stronger at his time at Oregon, so he's played there for a little bit. If he can continue to get stronger, he can withstand the bull rush better. He's athletic, and he's long enough to stick outside, and he has a high IQ.
Okay. Because, I mean, we did bail on doing the early choice at tackle. So that would be something we could debate on. Defensively, do you have edge as a specific category as well? I just wanted to see what we got at edge at this point, too.
Man, Ohio State's got a lot of players.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of defensive linemen. When you're that type of school, I get it. Princely, Samelin, Braden Swinson. Nothing's totally sticking out, but I also some of these players I do need to do more research on for next week.
I'm curious about this Ole Miss guy.
Yeah.
I'd say he could struggle early in the NFL, but he has the flexibility to get better.
Stat line's pretty damn good for SEC, though. 17.5 sacks.
Yeah. The Ohio State guy is good. He gets to the pocket. He has strong hands. 265 pounds as an edge rusher.
That's a beefier boy right there.
Or
no, never mind.
So a lot we could pick from. Linebackers. This guy from Clemson's good. He's explosive.
Barrett Carter, yeah,
he's pretty good. He played there for a while. Ole Miss linebacker, still probably pretty good. He just has short arms.
I'm kind of torn. I feel like running back we can wait. I think that they'll be available later. So I'm actually debating on possibly getting Cornely right there doing the tackle.
I'm leaning towards Kenneth Grant too. Get two really good defensive
Ooh.
tackles in there.
I mean, you are 39-41, so I wouldn't mind it. I like Grant. I think that he wouldn't be a bad pickup. And again, the bull rush capability, you just picked up someone that has a versatility that can go any of those techniques. So why not get a true nose tackle?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna tweet this out. Doing a draft.
See what people think. I'm gonna have to mess around with this tool. I'm actually doing a draft party, or going to a draft party a few that my coworker's throwing. So he apparently goes hardcore for this stuff, and I do enjoy the draft, but like I know there's some people that they are like in the zone on this stuff 24/7.
I only do this once in a while. Like I don't do it too hardcore, but it's just fun to do once in a great while. Like, oh, I wonder if I could do it.
Yeah.
All right. So for our 38th pick or 39th pick, we're picking Kenneth Grant, defense tackle. Ooh, Pittsburgh coming into play here.
So we get 41, 148. Or sorry, we get
We
80. Wait, so we trade back. We get 83 and 2 picks next year.
Yeah, no
Long one.
thanks.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Kansas City wants our 41st pick to give
No,
us
no,
63 and 66.
no, I wouldn't want that either.
But
Stay
it's
where you're at.
interesting. But it's interesting if we did this, we would have 63, 65, and 66.
Ah, it's tough. Do we feel like there's enough value at 41 for were we sold on anyone looking at that? You know,
I think now we have to go with an offensive tackle. I think we have to try to
see, that's what I was thinking. Like one of these, you got to get a tackle with it in the second round.
right. If we
You
give
know,
this up, now we have to wait 20 some picks
hmm
in order to do this. So I think we get an
I
offensive tackle right now.
yeah, counter reject this. I think go with the guy from Oregon
If he's still there.
if he's still there, which it looks like he is because the Saints
He
didn't pick him
is.
up.
So let's get him. Now we got to wait because you don't pick till 60 some. Okay, Atlanta back in the mix. They want us to give up 65 for their 118th.
We do get a second rounder next year though, out of the deal.
Tampa Bay wants that's a dumb
No,
deal.
hell no.
Tampa
Don't do that
Bay,
deal. That's terrible.
dumb. All right, before we accept this, let's see who's available still.
Yeah.
Okay, the Ohio State running back's gone.
Yeah, actually both Big 10 running backs are gone, so that kind of
But
limits your options.
let's look at Ollie Gordy. Oh yeah, he was the guy that got a DUI and stuff.
Yeah, but he was like a really honestly,
He's
his
good.
stock fell a ton because of that, but like he was really good at Oklahoma State.
And he has lower leg injuries.
Yeah. I know his
I thought he was
2023
good.
year. No, 2023 he was like electric. It's just last year he got into a lot of issues, like I said, off the field and such. But he's a really good talent when healthy.
The guy from Kansas State has good vision. He
Oh
has
yeah,
reliable
DJ Grants.
hands. He's effective in between the tackles, running the ball.
Now here's the question: do you want a because I think what you're looking for in a running back, you're looking for someone that challenges or is a complement to DeAndre Swift. So, which guy does that? So like you're looking at Scattaboo. I'm kind of like Scattaboo. I like as a comp that's like a Mike Allstott type with
Yeah,
hands, but like I don't know. It feels like he's the kind of like player that's more of like the name flash from college. I'm not sure if that translates to the NFL.
right. I don't know. This guy from Tennessee was pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, he's explosive, has some speed.
You know what I think? Here's my idea. I bet, and I know, like I said, there's injury woes and such. I think Ollie Gordon will be available in later rounds. So I think you can sit on that.
Mm.
Him as like a steal.
So now do we look at linebackers or edge rushers?
Well, let's look at the edge market. Now, Xavier Watts is still available. That surprises me.
For
Safety.
safety. Yeah. Yeah. Edge rusher, another Michigan guy.
Oh, you can keep that going in. Josiah Stewart.
Um,
Needs to add strength in order to enhance his run stopping ability, which, I mean,
in an odd and hybrid front scheme, Stewart has built-in effectiveness as a pass rush specialist who can attack on later downs. He brings value into the run pursuit.
So this reads as a situational pass rusher rather than a starter at the position.
Right. Who's this guy from Oregon? He had 8.5 sacks, 11 tackles for loss, 6 pass breakups. He's 279 pounds. He demolishes one-on-one and stunts against inside backers. He's on high upside investment.
High
Now, what about
upside
South
investment.
Carolina? He has a solid dip and rip move, combination of burst. He has some length. He is not as productive as a pass rusher. He's a more run stopper.
Okay.
There's another Ohio State dude. He has short arms. He's a rotational edge rusher. Okay.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna find it harder to find like your starting caliber guy in this level in this round. That's the only thing, you know.
Right.
So like
Now there's
you're kind of like, I mean, credit that could change. You know, this is the draft after all, but like it does feel like you're gonna likely find more like at this stage someone that you're gonna like has pseudo of a project, you know.
right. This linebacker though, this Carter guy, I'm reading it. He could be a starter. It said.
Okay. Yeah. Barrett Carter here.
I don't know.
Have you read his profile? Can we read his profile over?
Carter.
Yeah.
He had 73 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 2 interceptions. As a sophomore in 2022. He's 6'3", 230 pounds. He does well engaging off the blocks, rating past the lineman. He's explosive, dynamic athlete with great downhill speed. Ideally, he's going to be a will linebacker at the NFL level. He can grow to become a solid starter.
Okay. Yeah. I'd say your gut feeling. Maybe that's the guy you go with there.
All right, we're going for it.
Yeah, let's go.
There we
Barrett
go.
Carter.
Ooh, Miami wants in on the mix. 72 pick.
Third rounder and 98th.
Then Tennessee. Oh,
no,
you're gonna make us wait.
I don't want that.
Reject that. Miami wants to give us 98 and their third pick, and we give up 72. Because then our next pick is not till 148.
That's a steep one there. We still need still probably could use another well, wait, no, we don't really need defensive tackle right now. Really more need to look at like safety and then decide on our running back choice.
So we're going to pick at 72 right now, and then we pick at 148, 233. We can also make trades in this too if we want to propose trades.
I mean, do you who we trade though? I guess that's who do you want to trade with?
Like when you propose, so like the Jets.
Yeah.
So you have to look at like kind of who picks later on. So it's like, hey, can we trade with the Colts and try to get to number 80?
Mm.
So like Indianapolis, then it like so we want their 80th. What do we give up? So in 2026, we could give up picks for it.
Yeah, I mean, we secured the New York first rounder next year. That's a pretty dope trade, actually. We could give our, let's see, this is the third round right now we're in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, could give them like we could do, I mean, if you really wanted to sell the farm, you could do like 148 and then like, nah, never mind. I don't think we have enough capital right now to do anything.
Unless we gave up like this.
I mean, we could. I mean,
But it'll tell you
if we have someone that badly we want, I mean, I don't know how we're feeling.
it would just allow us to have a pick at 72, 80, try to get a running back and a safety very quickly.
I think so. This is my idea. So I think Gordon can be available at 148. Like I fully
Oh,
buy that.
well, let's see. He's still there.
Yeah, I think he'll be available at 148. I think he'll slip even past his
So
projected.
let's reject this Miami offer.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
We want to go defense, safety.
Okay.
I want to look at this Ohio State guy. At his size, he profiles an excellent athlete, solid explosiveness. His football IQ and his ability to read the quarterback allows him to anticipate routes in the short intermediate ranges. His lack of elite long speed and range limits him to too high looks.
Okay.
Okay. What about this guy from Texas?
Yeah, Mr. Makuba, Andrew Makuba.
Oh, he was at Clemson first.
Ah,
Um,
you're probably gonna see a lot more of these profiles like this, where it'll be like a dude that was at like one college and then transferred. Just the way that it's all changing now.
yeah, at Texas, he finally had interception production to back that up. His skinnier frame could make it difficult to be a consistent tackler in the NFL. He's a versatile two-phase playmaker with elite coverage, mobility, and sharp eyes. He has an impact starter upside.
Impact starter upside though. The frame's a bit concerning. Let me check something here. I want to see. I don't know why I didn't pull up the Bears depth chart immediately before we did this, but I will now.
I
Have to
did
take a
spring
look.
this on you, but that's okay.
No, I'm completely fine with this. I love that we're doing this. So right now there's safety positions. So I mean, you got. Now, I mean, keep in mind Brisker should be back next year. You know, you got Byard still. So like, you're really looking more for like potentially a higher end like depth person. You know, future proofing the position really potentially.
Right.
So, I mean, you would get a little more time with Makuba if it was an issue about strength.
Now, Bowman here from Oklahoma. Bowman has strong ball skills and awareness, making him disruptive presence and coverage, whether in deep zone or man. He's also a physical tackler who doesn't hesitate to step up and run support. While he plays with aggression, improving his consistency in tackling technique and route anticipation will elevate his game further. His playmaking ability and football IQ makes him a defensive standout.
Okay.
I like how they're talking about he can play coverage and can tackle.
I'll always take a guy that can tackle. Like the basics of the safety position is to be that last man in line to get the tackle anyway. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind him then. Although it might be a reach. How far down? 103. We're picking at 72 with this. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. But we don't pick to 148, so we might have to reach on this one either way if we feel good enough about him.
I mean, I'm good with it because he's not going to probably be a starter, but he's going to rotate in if he can
Yeah.
come in.
I mean, like I said, what you're doing here, if you're looking at the Bears chart right now, like I said, Brisker's still on his rookie deal. Byard's in his second year of, and I'm going to double check his current contract. He is in the second year of what is, well, essentially is his last year of his deal. So you're basically looking for your safety of the future potentially with this pickup.
Right.
So yeah, Byard leaves after this year. Brisker has one more year before they have to decide if they want to flex his rookie deal. So yeah, I mean Bowman, I like the intangibles, I like the tackle ability. I say it's not a bad idea.
All right. Drafting Bowman.
All right.
Now we wait.
Wait a long time. Damn.
Oh, we're in round 4 right now.
Jesus Christ, here it goes.
Round 5.
Oh my God, there it goes. Okay. Cleveland's giving us a lot of these like later round picks though.
Yeah, they want 148 and our 7th round pick for their number 179, 192, and 200.
Now the gap between this pick and the next was a big one. So like we would actually get a lot of these later rounders out of this deal. We just lose next year's 7th round is all.
Right. So let's see who's available still.
So yeah, first up.
Oh, he's gone.
Gordon left. No. Oh, our gamble failed. Damn it.
Gordon left.
Oh my God. Now I do like if I want to pick another guy, I do like that I watched mainly just from where I work. I do like Monangai here, Kyle Monangai from Rutgers.
Okay.
He was pretty solid for Rutgers. So
runs with urgency, shows good vision between the tackles. He brings a workhorse mentality, rarely shines away from heavy workload. However, he lacks top tier bursts and long speed, limiting his big play ability. His impact in the passing game is limited as both receiver and blocker. Areas that need refinement to round out his game. So receiver and blocker.
Maybe not as much. Devin Neal was also a good one too. I actually like to read his profile. He had some really good shining moments in Kansas.
Acceleration through the hole and balance through contact make him a constant threat for chunk yardage. He's a reliable pass catcher, adding valuable on third downs. He lacks elite breakaway speed, gear to constantly outrun defenders in the open field. His pass protection is adequate but still developing, and he occasionally hesitates against more physical front sevens.
Okay.
What about the Simpson guy from Tennessee?
Dylan Sampson.
He had 22 touchdowns on 258 carries. He's a smaller back for this class, but he doesn't let any size mismatch intimidate him.
Yeah, so 5'8" is pretty tiny.
He keeps his legs moving. Where he'll truly make his money is his explosiveness, ability, speed, and blend of creativity. He has the running leverage and wiry frame to play bigger than his size, but his dynamicism as well make him a valuable part of a running back rotation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then who else is here? Damian Martinez. I don't know enough about Martinez. I've seen Harvey a little bit. So I wouldn't mind reading his profile as well.
Smooth footwork operator with instincts, great dynamic vision. It says he checks almost every box.
Really?
He averaged 6.3 yards per carry. He's 5'11", 217 pounds.
Okay. ACC, so good competition too for comparison.
But truly is one of the most complete volume running backs in the entire draft. And he looks the part. He's a physical downhill runner. There's some finesse to his game. Maybe we go with him.
I would say that there's not really much negative on his scouting report here. Like, the whole thing kind of reads as like a good value pick down at this stage. I mean, honestly, it's already a steal for like at least this system's ranking of him.
Right. I say we do it.
Yeah, let's pick him up. A
And,
well-rounded running back. I think that's a good fit as a number 2 or a challenge to Swift. So,
right. And we wait.
and we wait.
Okay.
So this will be our last one, and there's no trade proposal here, so we're definitely done after this.
We're done after this. So we've gotten a running back, 2 defensive tackles.
Linebacker.
All right. Oh, sorry, my pick. So we got a defensive tackle, offensive tackle, linebacker, safety, running back
Mm-hmm.
is what we've got. So I guess what do we want to do now?
Kind of feels like at this late stage, you're almost picking a position group that needs depth for camp. So I'm kind of like on the fence where to go here. I mean, let me take a look at the depth chart again for my thoughts. And of course, through the depth chart away. Why did I do that? What are you thinking? I'm kind of, depending on what I see on the chart, I wouldn't mind looking at like another like offensive lineman to throw into the mix.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so like here's so I mean, right now without the draft, honestly, you could probably look at a guard.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, we haven't really
Yeah,
looked at the guard. I know it says we don't need it now, but you still would think that.
because like I'm looking at this right now. So like they only have, in credit, this is the same site, Pro Football and Sports Network. They only list 2 right tackles, 2 right guards for Chicago, with what we would essentially have is pretty good depth on the guard tackle spots on the left sides. So you could look for a guard on the right to fill in, maybe challenge Bill Murray,
Right. So now which one?
I feel like I've read Cooper Mays' profile before.
It said, sorry, I clicked out of it. His run blocking has been a concern. He struggles to generate movement without the assistance of double teams.
Mm-hmm.
He was not invited to the NFL Combine.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
He was projected a day 3 pick or a potential undrafted free agent.
So already kind of not looking promising there.
Guy from Michigan.
Consistent above average performance throughout his career, so that's a good start. Gave up 0 sacks this season while demonstrating a slight jump in pass blocking ability. Taking extended snaps in his career as a guard, so
has excellent in protecting the quarterback and creating run lanes. His athleticism may be a potential area for improvement. Getting ready for the competitive of the NFL will be a steep adjustment, but his experiences make him an intriguing draft prospect.
So a kind of a work in progress, but someone that at least showed he had a really stable college career.
Right, played a lot of ball.
Mm-hmm.
And again, at this late stage, he's not going to start, but if he's somebody that could get developed and learn from, like we said, from these other guys, that's what this draft would be about at this point.
Smaller school guy, but what do we got with Addison West? I'll be honest with you. Actually, we're looking at these rankings, and now we're starting to get really low here, but still.
All right. He allowed just 2 pressures on 367 pass blocking snaps in 2024. He spent 6 years there. He played over 2,500 career snaps. He was a captain. He's an average athlete with better athleticism than your typical small school lineman. He's a physical run blocker who is strong at the point of attack and can drive defenders back.
Okay. I think so. Let's table the guard for a moment. I want to see if there's now let's look like a best value. So like an overall rank. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah. The best one left are a bunch of defensive guys. The best offensive tackle is Dalton Cooper from Oklahoma State. The
Yeah, let's
best
see.
guard.
Depth chart. Yeah, I mean, after this draft, we'll have a lot of tackles, so it's kind of feels like you're kind of
It's
maxed
a
out
lot
at
of
this point in the draft.
it's a lot of defensive guys. A lot of defensive guys.
What about linebacker?
The best linebacker is Kobe King that's left from Penn State.
Okay,
Um,
I mean, good school for it.
he's an average tackler. He posted a career missed tackle rate at 12.8%.
See, I'm already not feeling it if we're going to be talking like a high missed tackle rate. You know,
Um, doesn't have a knack for creating turnovers or pass breakups. He was targeted 30 times and gave up 27 receptions. Um, he's a physical run defender, makes plays downhill. He had a run stop rate of 8.8%, can read and react quickly, plays around the line of scrimmage. I don't know. Don't know about that.
not feeling that. There's a lot of stuff not feeling good there.
This offensive tackle from Oklahoma State, he started at Texas State, then he transferred to Oklahoma State. He started 13 of the 14 games. He has played over 3,800 snaps. 2024, he only played 9 games. He gave up 6 pressures, but 0 sacks. Okay, so he seems like an average offensive tackle.
We already addressed the safety spot. That's right. A lot of tackles left right now. They're kind of higher up.
A lot of defensive tackles.
Yeah. What about go back up. How about that Tyler Beatty there from BYU?
Tight end, 5th-year senior, highly instinctual and physical, robust pass. Oh, that's an edge guy. Sorry, pass rusher.
No, I was saying I wanted to look him as edge guy. Yeah.
Exceptional run defender with a long frame, powerful playing style. He offers NFL teams a reliable and high floor prospect. Mentality and strong foundation will enable him to contribute immediately at the professional level while further developing his pass rushing skills. I mean, he sounds pretty good to me.
It doesn't say the side, but like we could use one more person on that position group based on the chart.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's execute. I mean, that's right around the range, so sounds like a good pickup. More veteran guy from college.
Okay. So there's our draft.
Okay, and we got a Giants first rounder to boot for next year.
Sure did.
Which I think that'll land us at least minimum a top 15 pick.
So we addressed our defensive tackle spot. We got an offensive tackle to add to the free agent signing. Got a linebacker, another safety to learn. We got a running back who seems to fit the mold of trying to play and give us some valuable downs. And we got a edge pass rusher that could learn, and then we get a first round pick.
I don't think we did too bad.
All right.
Yeah, I think I really like what we did with the interior line. Really.
I mean, because Michigan's defense was really good. Even though Michigan's team wasn't good, their defense was still like a top. Their front seven was really high ranked this year, even though they didn't win a lot of games. Ohio State obviously had a really good defense. I thought Oregon had a great offense, so we get an offensive tackle there that's played some meaningful games. Guy Clemson played a lot of meaningful games. Oklahoma, obviously. Miami was really good this year. And Tyler Beatty just sounds like a tough kid, which is what you want.
Yeah.
And this is just add on.
I'm digging it.
This add on to all the other free agents we got. So
yeah. we basically addressed what we needed. Like I said, the interior we really loaded up really well this time. That's good. It's good.
All
I
right,
like the upside.
the Bears need to hire us then.
Time to go in the scouting department. You and I.
I would do that 100%. I would do that.
Quite
100%.
frankly, I would also debate doing it myself.
That if they paid me 70 grand a year, I would do it. As long as they're paying for all the flights and stuff. They're paying for the hotel, the flights, and all that. Sure, pay me like 70 grand. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Or if they pay me 60 grand and paid off my house.
Yes.
Then I would pay me 60 grand, pay off my house, you pay for all the flights and the food and the and the hotels, I would do it. If all I had to do was watch film and travel to scout them and they pay for all of it, shoot.
Well, this is where we start. See, we propose this draft to those that need to know. And they think, hey, you guys are geniuses. This is a smart draft.
I'll send it to John Gruden and see if it's any good.
Hey, he's right. He's not too far. You just got to go to the Barstool office and drop it off. Actually, you could probably mail it to him. He's been taking mail from places.
I should. I sent him a DM asking to come on the podcast, and he never answered. But
that'd be freaking incredible. I would love that.
I could mail to him and be like, I don't live too far away from you. I'll come to you. Let's do this.
Do a one-on-one sanctioned by Barstool.
And then I'll tell Big Cat I could beat his ass in NCAA football on PS5.
That's the rub. That's how you get in.
And then I'll bring Dave Portnoy this pizza place here in Plano,
then you make him go visit Planet Pizza.
Yes, Planet Pizza, and see what the review would be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cut in squares; it's not triangles, so I don't know if he's going to go for it.
True, but still be worth it. I mean, hey, Sicilian slices are in squares. Let's be frank. So
that's true. That's true.
I think there's a good chance he'd go for it. He'd go for it.
All right, we got a lot accomplished. So we got through our free agency, and we even drafted for the Bears free of charge.
Things are looking up. Yeah, free advice, please. Polls, Warren, feel free to take it as you will. I would not mind seeing that as the draft class. Honestly, not bad choices.
No, I wouldn't either. It won't happen, but if you were able to get those two defensive tackles right off the bat, shoot.
Right. I think for how far ahead of the curve we are this year, it feels like with like addressed positions for real. That's where it's like now with like the trade back, like say someone does ask for the 10, like would be pretty dope to then strategize where you get 2 first rounders next year in that place, but then also fill in needs. Because there's one thing at least Ryan Poles has done somewhat well. Second and third rounds been his bread and butter. He's done pretty damn good in those rounds. So at least I'll give him that nod. They know how to evaluate those like higher endish talents, the guys that aren't like the main like I would say talkabouts on the talk shows.
Right. Sorry, I'm exiting out of things so it doesn't slow me down.
Sure.
No, I think we did pretty good. So the draft is next weekend? Next week?
Next Thursday, 24th through 26th, man. It is go time. And so we'll get the 10th overall pick and whatever the hell the Bears do with that. And then Friday, second and third round. So it'll be that'll be the money day for Bears fans, most likely, to see what Poles does with that. And then 4 through 7 to finish up the weekend.
Yeah, because I don't foresee any trades from the Bears. Like I don't see a reason.
I don't think many. Like I said, I think the 10th there's a slight chance, but again, some of the mocks I understand the choices in those positions if the person's available. So,
well, I should say this: I don't know if the Bears would trade it now. If somebody offers them something and they're like, "Yeah, we'll give you the 10th pick for."
Sure. Like I think it depends on the client too. Like if it's the Giants, again, like I'm banking that the Giants, if the Giants offered a first round for next year, I'm taking it because I am almost feeling like they will be a top 15 pick. Like I'm
Well, again,
that
like
confident on that, you know?
now we didn't get Genty or whatever, the running back. If he's available at 10 for the Bears, I think you gotta just say we're taking him because
Yes, at some point you do pick him or best available talent if your guy's on the board.
now if he's gone and somebody gives you a trade deal and it's intriguing, I think you have to listen because you're like, okay, he's gone. Unless there's some defensive tackle or something out there that's just blaring at you, like, oh, we've got to take him like right now.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
so, all right, well, I think that's a good episode there. This was the Bear Down part of the Coach Steve Show. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and on Rumble. It's there too. X, all that stuff. I'm trying to figure out how TikTok Live works on the StreamYard thing. That would be the next thing. I can't. I'm trying to
I
figure.
would, and I wish I could help you. I have no clue. That's the one I definitely don't know how it works. You can try Instagram Live. Maybe
Yes, I could try that too. That's another one.
I know I don't know. You're kind of active on there too. I know for sure. So
Well, trying to get this thing. My shorts have been doing well the past 2 weeks. I don't know why, but they're
that's good.
getting me something there. I don't know. My life's about to change, but I'm hoping giving up a sport, even though my life has changed, get back in this podcasting thing. I have some ideas. I just have to have the willpower to do it and try for it. Trying to
You'll
go
get
live
there.
at I thought about trying to go live at 5 a.m. every day, but I just
I mean that now that's a commitment, but you know you would have. I think you consistently could get people doing that. You
yeah.
know.
Tomorrow though, I am going to hop on here and talk about the Nico I am a leaving player from Tennessee.
Oh Jesus, I need to
I
do a little more research because I would love to talk that because like I do have my thoughts on NIL and just like what that's going to look like in less than 5
I
years.
I tried to hop on to talk about it right when it happened. I just haven't had time, and then I just decided to do it tomorrow, so I'll be late to the game. But I have had conversations with comments and stuff on Twitter with people,
Mhm.
um, and then I personally have messaged college football coaches. I will not say their names, just for safety purposes.
Yep.
Of what do they think of this situation, and most of my responses that I've gotten from the college coaches have been the same, and it's the way I think, and they don't like what has happened. So they have some thoughts, and they're very upset with how we've gotten to this point in college football. With this is not how name, image, and likeness was supposed to go. This
Mhm.
was not what the transfer portal thing was supposed to look like. Um, I might message a couple other high profile college coaches and see what they think. But it's pretty been much the same. But one of the pushbacks I get on it is, well, coaches can leave when they want, and so I'm going to be discussing all that because that's the comeback that people come at me for is, well, coaches can leave when they want. And then the other comment I get is, well, why are you blaming the kid when he just, if he has a chance to get more money, go get more money, and you know, he now is with UCLA, and he's going to get less money than he was at Tennessee, not
Right.
by a
Well,
lot.
and you know what? I think the best. I think the best proponent I've seen of, or like, sorry, the best I think in terms of like nuanced discussion I've seen of this is actually a lot of Joel Klatt's own podcast. I think he does a really good job at like balancing like the pros and cons of the NIL, especially the side of like, yes, you do take the risk of going to a school and you can better yourself in terms of reps or not. And that's what you're being sold is that dream, that you do have a better opportunity at a program with so many high profile D1 programs. However, and like we saw, it's not the same, I think, with this UCLA signing situation, but like you have a kid who's at like maybe like a Texas or something, and then you're in a competitive position like a receiver or a DB, or a linebacker, where you kind of can get lost in the shuffle really easily. That's where you really screw yourself. Is like, instead
Well,
of like potentially waiting in that high profile program, you might slip and lose any opportunity or have to really crawl back very hard and hope to God you get back up your way in a lower end program. If you don't get
Yeah,
picked up right away or they don't meet your demands right away.
yeah, it's a mess. I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I had a guy I've become friends with, Coach Moriarty. He's a coach at a FCS college, East Texas A&M. We talked about that on there about the portal, and you know, it's there to help with maybe you're homesick and you have an opportunity to go home,
Mhm.
family sick, like it's there for good reasons. Um, but I don't know. I'm going to talk about it tomorrow by myself. It'll be live tomorrow. I have a lot of thoughts because I don't put all the blame on Nico because he's getting told things like, "Hey, if you do hold out, you'll get money," and
Mhm.
he's getting told by his dad. His dad's really involved, and um, so I don't put all the blame on him. But my thought process is, well, these college football players want to be treated like adults, right? They want to make this big time money. They want to be able to move around like these college coaches. Okay, you want to be an adult and make adult decisions. This is what happens, right?
Mhm.
And I agree with, well, these college football coaches can leave whenever they want. But I don't think people realize that when these college football coaches do leave, there is a buyout in their contract, whether it's they pay it or the school that they're about to go sign with pays it. So there is something there to like break that contract. Um,
Correct.
but all, but also the college football coaches have the cloud over their head that they can be fired. They could be fired for poor performance, whatever it is. So these football players, okay, if you do want to be able to leave whenever you want, um, then you have to be okay with being fired. So that's what Coach Heupel did. He fired him. Like, okay, you want to play this game? Go. Like, we have a program, we have other people in the building.
Mhm.
Um, and so I applaud Coach Heupel for it. Like, hey, you put your foot down and said, I'm not going to be held hostage. But also, these guys are 19 years old, 20 years old. And a part of me is like, what gives you the right to look at a 40-year-old coach who has cut his teeth in this and has had to do a lot of things to get where he is, and you're going to tell him how things work and stuff like that? And then a lot of the college coaches I talked to said, like, this has now transformed this into they're looking at things right now. They're not looking at the future, right? And I was listening to Lane Kiffin today on Theo Fahn's podcast, because Lane Kiffin really doesn't do podcasts. Like, he kind of does, but doesn't. But like,
Kind of surprises me given how active he is on social every year.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, go on.
he said the dream used to be you get recruited, get a scholarship, and if you're that big, high profile, your goal is to get to the NFL to make the money, right? Like, you're going to make money. Well,
Mhm.
now they're making the money now. And so what's the drive now to get to the NFL, right? Your drive is, well, this collective is paying me $2 million, right? So there's something coming out though. These college football coaches tell me there's something coming out that's going to try to fix this a little bit. I just
Well,
don't know
I
how it's
I know I know the Power 5 conferences went to Congress like a week ago and petitioned
Mhm.
again to try and ask for assistance from the federal government on some sort of regulation,
So there's
which
something that's going to come down the pipe, but
right, because like the thing is now it's like, okay, it's legal, but I think what the conferences want from what I'm understanding is they want more of a I think a guardrail to understand what is and isn't available, you know?
right. And the thing that I don't think people understand is that, use Tennessee for example. Coach Heupel doesn't tell him how much money he's going to make. He doesn't do that. That's
Mhm.
the collective. That's the boosters. They're the ones that dictate that. Heupel, like, head coaches are not allowed to like be involved in that, right? They're not allowed
Sure.
to, and they don't want to do that. Like, they're head football coaches at a
They just wanna
college,
find the talent, that's the thing, it's they're not the ones trying to write the contracts up.
right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. So I'll talk more about that tomorrow. On my, I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm very fortunate that I can just message these coaches and literally my messages, and they were not very professional. I just said, "Hey, what do you think about this Tennessee situation?"
Just straight shooter. No bars holding back or whatsoever.
Yeah, I and the responses have been pretty much the same. They've been pretty much the same.
Mhm.
Um, they go into it specifically, then they go into what this has created. It's created, how can you fight for things if you're leaving all the time?
Yeah.
Uh, how much money's too much money? And then the fact that there's nothing holding them to that money. It's
Well, that is definitely the case. We've seen that just the last few years, for crying out loud. And we've seen players that have had a deal in place and then they'll just go and leave, because they get a better one. So,
I think that's the thing that the conferences want is like, what's clarification? Can there be contracts like, hey, yeah, let's say him, for example, we're going to get you $2 million, but you have to stay for so long or whatever. But then it comes down to, well, football coaches don't have to do that. So there's a lot of
mhm.
things where it's like, if you're a football coach now, is it going to change where if you sign a 4-year deal, you have to complete 2 years of it? Like
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of things. So, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. I have a lot of thoughts. But all right, everybody, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys next time.